Hey guys, it's the Real Hair Revelations for today. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to talk to you guys tonight. This is a topic that has gotten a lot of interest. So I posted a poll in the group and I asked, which topic did you guys want to be the Real Hair Revelation for this week? And it was between silicones and porosity. And by far, porosity won out. So we'll do silicones another week, but this week you guys clearly want to understand porosity. And so we're actually going to do a live porosity test here on the show. So what I need you to do is make sure that you have a glass or cup or what have you of room temperature water, because you're going to do this with me. You're going to figure out your porosity for your hair. All right, you're going to need a cup or glass or what have you of room temperature water. Preferably you want the glass or cup or whatever to be clear, okay? So go grab that and then come back and then we can do the test, okay? But before we do the test, I'm going to really explain what porosity is, why it's important to understand it, all that sort of stuff. So let's get into it. Let me put my cup down. Hopefully I don't kick it over. All right, before we get into this, like, look at, I love this shirt, you guys. Like, can you see it? I've had this shirt forever, and I hope it doesn't offend anybody because I think it's hilarious. But, you know, if you were a child of the 80s or 90s, you totally get this, right? If you were, like, younger than that or maybe older than that, maybe you don't get it. I think it's hilarious. I've had this shirt since I was, like, in college, and I will never get rid of it because I think it's funny. And my mother even is like, aren't you a little old to be wearing that? No, I think it's funny, so whatever. Anyway, so again, I hope it doesn't offend anybody, but, you know, it's funny, so, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so let's get into porosity. All right, so porosity, what is porosity? Like, what is this, right? Like, I'm sure that you heard it and you're just like, that sounds so complicated, right? So porosity is really, to simplify it, it really is just your hair's ability to absorb water and absorb moisture, right? So a few weeks ago, we talked about what to look for in a good moisturizer. And the first ingredient I told you should always be in your moisturizer is water. So hence, porosity is your hair's ability to absorb moisture / water, right? Water, again, is the most moisturizing thing you can ever possibly put on your hair. Some people tend to think that water is drying. That's not true at all. Water is super moisturizing. Think about how great your hair looks, when it is wet for the most part, for most people, right? A lot of people will say, oh, my hair looks so good when it's wet. I wish it could look like that when it's dry. And what good moisturizers are intended to do is to add water along with a whole bunch of other really, really great moisturizing properties to keep your hair, to help your hair retain that same or similar moisture level even when your hair dries, okay? Now, why is it important to know if you are high porosity or low porosity? Well, if you are high porosity, that means that your hair is highly porous, right? Porosity simply refers to the porosity, the porousness of your hair, right? So if your hair is high porosity, that means that it absorbs water quickly and it absorbs it easily, right? If your hair is low porosity, that means that your hair is challenged in absorbing moisture. So a lot of us are low porosity, and what that means is that it takes more work for our hair to actually, one, get moisturized, and two, maintain its moisture level. Now, if it may sound like high porosity hair is better hair or that low porosity hair is unhealthy, neither one of those are true. You can have totally, amazingly awesome, healthy hair and have high porosity or low porosity. There are some people who are quote unquote normal porosity, all right, and we'll do the porosity test and I'll explain that. And that just means that your hair, you know, it doesn't absorb water extremely fast, it doesn't absorb water extremely slow, it just kind of it absorbs water at a normal level. But for most people that are watching this video, the majority of us are going to be either high porosity or low porosity, all right? Now, what does this mean for you? If you are high porosity hair means that your hair can absorb moisture very easily and quickly. However, the con of that is that high porosity hair is also much more prone to frizz because it can absorb moisture so quickly. Okay, so if you are someone with high porosity hair and you go outside and you do your hair and your hair looks amazing, you go outside in the humidity and all of a sudden your hair, boom, like blows up like a cotton ball or something, there's a good chance that you're high porosity. right? Of course, your hair can do this also if you are low porosity, but there's a very, very good chance that you could be high porosity. If your hair is low porosity, let me caveat that. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention something. If you are high porosity, that means that your hair is highly porous, right? So think about the pores in your skin. That means that water can get through those pores very easily if you are high porosity. And again, you're more prone to frizz, and your hair requires protein to fill in those gaps. So you're going to need to do more protein treatments if you are someone with high porosity. And we'll talk about what sorts of protein treatments I recommend in just a moment. Now, if you are low porosity, okay, I always hear people say, I'm low porosity, my hair won't take moisture or what have you, and my hair is just, prone to suck. It's not true, okay? Not true at all. If you are low porosity, what does that mean for you? That means that you are going to really need to ante up your moisture levels. And it's not as much about how much you moisturize at one time, but more about how frequently you moisturize. So high porosity people, because their hair actually can accept moisture and retain moisture longer and more easily, they can more or less sometimes, okay, I'm saying sometimes here, get away with moisturizing maybe every couple of days or every few days. Whereas people who have low porosity hair, there's a good chance you may have to moisturize every single day. Okay, there's also a good chance that you may have to moisturize more than once a day. You may have to moisturize twice a day, right? It just kind of depends on how easily your hair can accept the moisture. Okay, so just to kind of recap all of that, to confuse you less, hopefully. I hope you guys aren't confused by this. So to recap everything, high porosity hair up here, you guys are going to need more protein because your hair is highly porous and protein is required to fill in the gaps of your hair, all right? And also you're going to need to do more hot oil treatments because your hair is prone to frizz. If you are low porosity hair, you are going to need to ante up your moisture frequency, okay? You're also going to really need to make sure that you are highly cognizant of the moisturizers that you're picking, and you have to do that when you're high porosity too. But really low porosity hair really needs to make sure that they follow what I mentioned in one of my Real Hair Revelations from several weeks ago, which is to purchase moisturizers that are free of mineral oil. You don't want to see any mineral oil in your moisturizer. You also want to see water as the very first ingredient, okay, in your moisturizer. And you want to make sure that you are moisturizing at least, I'm generally speaking here because I know somebody's going to come on and say, well, I can get away with moisturizing everything. Listen, I'm talking about the majority of people, folks, okay? The majority of people will probably need to moisturize at least once a day. I can tell you personally, I'm low porosity and I moisturize at least once a day. If I'm lazy, I may moisturize every other day, but for the most part, I moisturize every single day, okay? And especially when the seasons change, like when we change from summer to fall, or from fall to winter, or vice versa, my hair goes through a whole crazy spell where it actually requires even more moisture. So do not be afraid to use moisture. Now, what I do want to caveat this and say is that it's all about the frequency at which you moisturize, not the amount you moisturize at one time, okay? This is the example I always give. Let's say you go to the gym and you decide, hey, y'all, my phone just fell. Yee! All right, let's do this again. That was funny. All right, hopefully we're good. Oh no, what's going on? My phone does not want me to be great today. Okay. We good? Hopefully we're good. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So, let's say that you have, in a week, this week, let's say you have 6 hours available to work out. This looks really bright. I'm so sorry, y'all. I gotta fix this because I don't want to be looking all crazy. Okay. So, let's say you have 6 hours to work out this particular week. And you decide, okay, well, I can either work out 6 hours all on one day, or I can work out 6 hours over the course of 6 days, right? So that would be 1 hour over 6 days. Which one is going to get you more results, right? You're going to get better results from working out working out 1 hour over the course of 6 days than you will working out 6 hours in one day, right? Because it's about the consistency and the frequency at which you are working out, not you just going ham on it on one day, right? So it's kind of the same thing with your hair. when you're moisturizing, it's not about how much you do at one time. So you can slap a whole jar of moisturizer on your hair on one day. That's not going to do you any good, right? It's about how often throughout the week you're moisturizing, okay? So I hope that gave you a chance to go and get your cups of water, and we are going to do a porosity test, all right? And I'm going to adjust this one more time because when my phone fell, it just like threw everything off, y'all. I had my whole little setup, and it just like messed me all up. Okay. All right, let me turn the light back on. Hopefully I don't look too shiny. Okay. Okay, great. Now, so I hope you have your cup of water. Now, what you're going to want to do, now, you're probably going to want to do this again another day, because if you're watching this, it's the end of the day if you're watching it live. And there's a good chance that you did not just wake up and roll out the house and have your hair looking any old kind of way, right? I'm assuming you put some kind of product on it, whether it's a moisturizer or a gel or something on your hair. The key to doing this porosity test is to make sure that you do it on freshly washed hair with no product on it whatsoever, okay? No product on it whatsoever. Now, I actually washed my hair today. This is a wash and go from today, and I have moisturizer on my hair. So my porosity test is not actually going to be completely accurate because I have product on my hair. But I've done porosity tests several times in the past without product, and so I know 100% without a doubt that I am low porosity, okay? So you're going to take a strand of your hair, okay? You're going to take a couple strands, actually. Let me put this down. And you're literally going to pull a strand of hair out, right? Don't be afraid. It's just one strand. Nobody's going to notice. You're going to pull a strand of hair. Can you see that? That's a strand of my hair, okay? And you're going to take that and you're going to put it into your cup of water. All right, so you want to do this for like in 2 or 3 different spots, because as you know, a lot of us have different textures of hair, right? So you can have one type of texture over here, another texture in the crown, another texture at the bottom, and something else in the front. So I recommend taking one strand from each of the 4 quadrants of your hair. So one from the front, one from the back, on each side, okay? So we're just going to do that. Sorry, I did the front on that side. I'm going to do the front on this side. You're literally just going to pluck a strand, okay? So don't trip, okay? It's not going to, no one's going to notice that you are 4 strands lighter today than you were yesterday, all right? And you're going to put this into your cup of water. So I hope you guys are able to do this with me live. Let's see. You don't want to pull too much though. Okay. Alright, so I got my hair. And I don't know if you all can see this. Uh-oh. Hold on. I got some on my arm. I don't know if you all can see this because it's just a few strands of hair. If you all can see the hair actually in there or not. But I have hair. My hair is in here. Okay. And I'm looking at it. And so here's how you do the test. So you have your water, right? And you let this sit for about 2 to 4 minutes, okay? And you start to look and notice, is your hair floating at the top or is it sinking to the bottom, right? Now, if your hair is floating at the top, after 2 to 4 minutes, your hair is low, very likely your hair is low porosity, okay? If your hair is floating at the top, because remember, porosity just means your hair's ability to absorb water and how quickly it can do that, right? So if your hair is floating at the top, that means that it's not absorbing the water very quickly. That means it is low porosity in general. Now, if you find that your hair is starting to sink to the bottom, right, after about 2 to 4 minutes, that means that your hair is high porosity because it's absorbing the water. The water is absorbing through it and it's sinking down into the bottom of the cup, okay? So this is how you'll know if your hair is high porosity or low porosity. And the reason that I suggest that you do it from the different sections of your hair, again, is because some of us have, you know, different textures of hair all throughout our hair. Now, my hair is absolutely floating at the top. Like, I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but can you see? Probably not. But it is floating. Like, it ain't sinking at all. All right? Which means that my hair is low porosity. Now, again, I do have moisturizer in my hair right now because I've been going around the day and I can't be having my hair just looking crazy. So I do have moisturizer in my hair. I don't have any oils or butters or gels or anything else in my hair right now. It's just moisturizer. I only have the step 2 moisture infusion styling cream in my hair right now. I washed it with step 1, put step 2 on, and that was it, right? That was my wash day. And so my hair is continuously floating. Okay, it's probably been at least a minute since I started, and it's just chilling at the top. So I hear people say all the time, I have low porosity hair, I'm doomed to, they'll say they have low porosity hair and they're doomed to have, you know, no curl pattern, and you know, their curls won't clump and all the other stuff because they're low porosity. That's not true. I have low porosity hair. Like, I have curls for days, right? So it's all about how you treat your hair once you find out what type of hair you have, right? So yes, someone who has high porosity hair is going to need a different sort of product than someone who has low porosity hair, okay? So again, this will save you a lot of time and frustration and money, because once you understand the porosity issue and how much moisture your hair requires from a frequency basis and from the type of moisture basis, you will save money when you go to the store, because you won't be buying products that you already know ain't gonna work for you, because maybe those products are suited best for someone who has high porosity hair. Now, if you have low porosity hair like myself, okay, you are going to want to make sure that your product, your moisturizer specifically, is pretty dense, okay? Because those of us who are low porosity require a thicker sort of product so it can really penetrate our hair strands, because again, remember, it takes more work for our hair to actually absorb moisture. I see people also with low porosity hair saying that when they take a shower or when they go to wash their hair, it takes a long time for their hair to actually start to get drenched, and that's because they're low porosity, right? Because their hair has a tougher time absorbing water, okay? So if you are low porosity like myself, you're going to want to make sure that your moisturizer is thicker in density. You're going to want to make sure it's chock full of really, really super duper moisturizing properties, like no mineral oil whatsoever. Mineral oil can also be hidden under a name called paraffinium liquidum. That's paraffinium liquidum. It's the same thing as mineral oil, just a different name. Okay, you want to stay away from that, because that is a moisture blocker. When you put that on your hair, it actually prevents moisture from getting to your hair. So it's totally counterproductive. You don't want to see that especially if you're low porosity, but really anybody. The second thing is you want to make sure that you see alcohols in your product that are derived from fruits. So alcohols that are derived from fruits, such as coconuts, are actually humectants that are actually really, really great to find in your moisturizer. They're not alcohols in the sense of a man-made alcohol that is made in the lab and dries your hair out. These are humectant sort of moisturizing property ingredients, okay? Examples of this would be cetyl alcohol, that's C-E-T-Y-L. Stearyl alcohol, which is S-T-E-A-R-Y-L. And another one is ceteryl alcohol, which is C-E-T-E-A-R-Y-L. Now think about grapes, for example. If you leave grapes out for so long, they're going to ferment, and eventually they'll form a wine, and we'll go drink it, we'll have a good time. Not too much of it, but we'll have a good time, right? Now, the same thing happens with coconuts. You leave coconuts out for so long, they start to ferment, they form an alcohol, and that alcohol is not the sort of alcohol that we all are kind of used to hearing about, which is those alcohols that are man-made in a lab and they dry your hair out. So those 3 alcohols are great. There's another one that I can't think of off the top of my head, but those 3 alcohols you definitely want to see in your hair products, because they are coconut-derived, moisturizing sort of fruit-based, naturally occurring alcohols, all right? That's another thing you want to find in your moisturizer. You also want to make sure water, again, is the very, very first ingredient, all right? Also, like we talked about last week or the week before, you want to make sure you see no parabens whatsoever. Those are cancer-causing ingredients. Been linked to breast cancer for several years. Why they're not banned in the United States, I cannot tell you, all right? So that's what you really, really want to find when you're looking for a moisturizer, especially if you are low porosity. These are really good things to find in your moisturizer, even if you are high porosity, but you definitely want to find them in your moisturizer if you are low porosity. If you are looking for a moisturizer, we do have one. It is the Moisture Infusion Styling Cream. It has all the stuff I talked about, but it is really great. Those of you who are watching and use it, you already know. I don't need to tell you about it. But there are other brands as well that have moisturizers that are great also. So If you are high porosity, all right, let's talk about the high porosity people. And actually, let's take a look at my hair. It's still floating at the top, y'all. And it's been like a good 3 or 4 minutes now. So definitely low porosity, right? Okay, so if you are high porosity, if you are someone who has highly porous hair, here's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need the same sort of products that I talked about, same sort of really, really great moisturizers, but you're gonna need to really make sure that you do more hot oil treatments. Everyone should be doing hot oil treatments, but if you got high porosity hair, you really wanna do hot oil treatments because high porosity hair is prone to frizz. Like you be out here looking like you stuck your finger in a plug. That's how much you're prone to frizz. Okay, to do a hot oil treatment, you basically remember, those of you who are old enough to remember, I may be dating myself here, remember VO5 from back in the day, right? You literally take some oil, you put it into, preferably be in a bottle. We have ours, which is the Divine Shine Moisture Lock and Frizz Fighter. You would literally just put this into a cup of water, let the water heat up, a cup of hot water. Let the water heat up the bottle. You do not want to heat up the oil on its own because you will end up burning yourself, dear, and you do not want that, okay? You're going to take the hot cup of water, put the oil inside, in the bottle, let the water heat up the bottle. Once this is warm, you're then going to put the oil on your hair itself. You're going to put it all over your hair strands, really focusing on those ends. And also you're going to want to part your hair, and then you're going to want to put the oil on your scalp. Kind of like how your mom or your grandma used to grease your scalp back in the day. Same sort of concept when you're parting your hair to do the hot oil treatment. At that point, you then want to put on a plastic shower cap and just kind of chill out for about 20 to 30 minutes, all right? Once that time is up, you then get into the shower and you proceed to rinse the oil out as normal, or you can go ahead and just wash your hair, okay? Now, that is how you do a hot oil treatment. I recommend doing hot oil treatments at least once a month, but if you are high porosity, I definitely encourage you to amp that up to about twice a month. So every other week on average, you should probably be trying to do a hot oil treatment. That will help you to eliminate the frizz issue, all right? Now, again, we also talked about protein. So if you are high porosity, you're going to want to do protein treatments. One caveat with protein though, you don't want to go ham with the protein, because what can happen is that you can end up with what's called protein overload. Protein overload is when you have too much protein and your hair is it's almost like so strong that it almost snaps like a twig, okay? And then you start to get into breakage and brittleness and all sorts of issues and split ends and things like that. So you don't want to go too hard with the protein. Protein treatments literally no more than once a month, like no more than once a month. If you can do these maybe every 6 weeks, that's probably even better, okay? So literally every 4 to 6 weeks, you should be doing a hot oil treatment, and that's it, okay? I'm sorry, not hot oil treatment, protein treatment. Here's how I suggest you do a protein treatment. Some people suggest you use avocados, and you absolutely can use an avocado. But what I find to be the best protein treatment is actually just using an egg. Now, if you're vegan, this may not work so well for you depending on like how vegan you are. But if you are, because I know a lot of people are vegan, going vegan after seeing What the Health. So, but if you are comfortable with it, you can use an egg. Now, here's the caveat, and a lot of people don't know this. This is gonna like blow your mind. Okay, if you have naturally dry hair, which is probably most of us watching this video, you're going to want to use the yolk of the egg only. You don't want to use the white of the egg. You just want to use the yolk of the egg. The yolk of the egg is actually moisturizing. It actually adds moisture to your hair. If you are someone who has naturally oily hair, you're going to want to use the white of the egg, because the white of the egg actually removes moisture, okay? So if you have dry hair, you don't want to use the white because you're going to be removing moisture, and obviously you need moisture, okay? So using the yolk of the egg, for most people watching this video, you're going to use the yolk of the egg. Crack the egg, scoop the yolk out, beat the yolk up with a fork. All right, and then you're going to just proceed to put it on your hair directly. You're going to put it on your hair. You don't really want to put it too much on your scalp, but you definitely want to put it on your hair and focus a lot on those ends, okay? You really, really want to focus on your hair there. Put a plastic cap on, chill out for about 20 minutes or so. Once that's done, rinse it out. Now, you definitely do not want to rinse this with hot water, babes, because you will fry the egg on your head. I know this from experience, all right? I did this myself several years ago. Put the egg on my head. My hair felt great. I'm like, I'm in the zone. And next thing I knew, I went to rinse it out and I used warm water and I'm smelling like this egg. I'm like, who is cooking eggs? And it was literally frying on my head. So you want to make sure that you use cool water to rinse this out because you will have to pick out egg pieces from your hair if you don't, okay? You want to do that no more than every 4 to 6 weeks if you have high porosity hair, all right? So I hope this cleared things up for you. I don't know if you guys got a chance to do the porosity test, but my hair has definitely been more than 4 minutes and it's still floating at the top. So again, when you do your test, you want to make sure that you do it on freshly washed hair before you put any product in your hair whatsoever. And just because you are low porosity hair, if you are low porosity hair, that does not mean that you are stuck having super hard, coarse, like horrible hair. I don't want anybody to think that you can have amazing hair that curls up when you do wash and goes and shines without you having to add like harmful hair sheens to your hair and that sort of thing. You just have to know how to take care of your hair. So again, moisturizing at a great frequency. If you are low porosity, make sure that you pick the sort of ingredients in your moisturizers that I mentioned earlier. And if you're high porosity, you want to make sure you do those protein treatments and those hot oil treatments. Now again, everybody, no matter what your hair type is or what type of porosity you have, everybody should be doing all of these things. But even if you are low porosity, you still should do a protein treatment. Even if you are low porosity, you still should do a hot oil treatment. It's just that if you are high porosity, you definitely don't want to skip on doing that, okay? Now for me, example, I'm low porosity. I haven't done a protein treatment probably in about 4 months. It's been a while since I did a protein treatment. But if I was high porosity, I would make sure that I did that protein treatment for sure every 4 to 6 weeks. If I'm low porosity. So if I were to want to do a hot oil treatment, I tend to do my hot oil treatments about every 6 weeks. And I recommend that people do them every 4 to 6 weeks. But if you're high porosity, you definitely want to make sure that you do those hot oil treatments every 2 to 4 weeks. You just kind of have to ramp it up if you are high porosity, okay? But and if again, low porosity, I don't want to ramble here, but low porosity hair needs, because I see some of the questions coming in, so I want to make sure I'm answering them. Low porosity hair, you really got to make sure that you are moisturizing frequently, like every day if you need to, and twice a day if you need to, okay? Don't be afraid to moisturize. You really cannot over moisturize your hair, provided you're using products that have good ingredients. Now, if you're you can over moisturize your hair if you're using products that have mineral oil in it, or if you're using products that have drying alcohols. Then you can over moisturize your hair because you're using things that aren't good for your hair anyway. But if you're using the things I've been telling you guys to use over these past several weeks, you cannot really over moisturize your hair, okay? I see someone asking, what about if you're normal porosity? So if you're normal porosity, oh, and I see Jamie, you joined a little bit late, that's okay. If you are normal porosity, that just kind of means that you are like in between. So if you do the porosity test and you see that your hair kind of floats right in the middle of the cup, right? So if you take the cup and your hair floats like kind of like up in here, that means you're quote unquote normal porosity. And you're still gonna want to do hot oil treatments. You're still gonna want to do protein treatments, but you don't have to do them as frequently as someone who has high porosity hair. So at the end of the day, we all need all of this stuff. It's just low porosity needs certain things more than others, and high porosity needs certain things more than others. So I hope this has been helpful for you. When you go to the store, again, you can save so much money if you just know what to look for and you understand your own porosity. So remember, last thing before I get off of here, if you are high porosity, or if you're low porosity, you're going to need thicker products. Thicker products because they need to penetrate, more dense is probably a better word, so they can penetrate your hair and really get in there and thoroughly moisturize your hair. If you are someone with high porosity hair, you probably want products that are a little bit less thick. You want things that are less dense in consistency, because you don't want your hair to be weighed down. Because again, your hair absorbs moisture so quickly, it'll easily weigh it down if you use something that's very thick. All right, and that's actually why we have 2 different lines. We have the coily curly line, and then we also have the tight curls and coils line, and we have the medium to loose curls and waves line. So the tight curls and coils line is actually thicker in density than the other line. It's thicker because those of us who have tight curls and coils, a lot of times we tend to be low porosity, and we require more moisture. We require more moisturizing properties. We require more humectants in our hair. If you are high porosity, which generally for a lot of people is folks who have more medium to loose curls and waves, which is why we have that line, those folks tend to have higher porosity hair, and so if they put on a really thick product, it's going to weigh their hair down. And so that's why we actually have those two lines to suit those two different types of customers. So I hope this has been helpful for y'all. And again, like you can like, you don't have to have like horrible hair. Like, this is a wash. I haven't done anything to my hair. This is seriously like a wash and go, a day one wash and go from this morning. Like, and I just put some moisturizer on it and I was done. So your hair can move. It doesn't have to be hard and all that stuff just because you have low porosity hair. So I've been talking for a long time, and I hope y'all have learned a lot here. If you have any questions, drop them below, and I will always make sure I answer them for you. You guys have a blessed evening, and I will talk to y'all soon. Mwah! Bye!